Good afternoon. It's just gone 4 p.m. This is eNCA. We are live to you from Studio 1 at our headquarters here in Hyde Park. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane. In this hour, a special focus on the situation in KwaZulu-Natal. Heavy rainfall continues to bring misery and devastation in that province. Umdloti residents are counting the costs of heavy downpours that pelted the province last night. Roads have been cut off and telecommunication services affected. Officials are keeping watch on events after the South African Weather Service advised that the status of the weather warning level had been increased to level 10, which is the highest. Our reporters have been covering the tragedy that fell on the province. Senior reporters Dasen Tatia and Sipamandla Goke were on the ground, supported by our team, including Manqoba Mchunu, Letiwe Mdluli and Heidi Jokos, and you will hear from all of them over this next hour. They'll join me for the rest of this hour as we unpack what the rebuilding process, which is in a way almost about to start from scratch, how that has been going. But as you know, we have to start in Umdloti in KwaZulu-Natal, where Manqoba Mchunu spent the day speaking to residents who were affected by overnight rains. And Manqoba, in a way, this is compounding, is it not? Because this latest bout of flooding happens as the province as a whole is trying to recover and rebuild following the heavy rains and flooding that happened and the devastation really of a month ago, and now this over the last 24 hours. What have you been witnessing on the ground where you are, particularly as it relates to what's happening now with the latest bout of flooding?
Well, Thulas, I can certainly tell you that there are scenes of devastation here in Umdloti. In fact, it's similar scenes that we saw about a month ago here in this particular area, where many residents have been left homeless. In fact, we understand that many of the complexes here or the apartments here have actually been evacuated, and this is for the safety of those residents who were there overnight. Of course, we do understand that there were heavy rains and there were mudslides that occurred in this particular area, and one of the places that we went to Thulas, that's where we saw a big mudslide that had occurred last night, and a block of flats we understand was swept away last night, but luckily we understand there was no one at the time in those block of flats. So I can tell you, Thulas, that we have seen quite extensive damage. The road infrastructure has been damaged. We've seen broken water pipes. We've also seen broken electric utilities here in this particular area. And I can tell you that even to try and get through, to call somebody, to try and use a telephone here is simply impossible. We had to, even right now, before speaking to you, try to get to somewhere where there is at least some little connectivity. That's because even the telephone lines are down in this particular area. We also understand that there's no electricity and water that has also been cut off since last night. And earlier on, I did speak to one of the residents who witnessed that mudslide happening, and take a look at this insert that I found earlier on.
The situation is drastic here, I'm afraid. We've lost a number of properties, and touch wood, I don't think we've lost any lives here now, but we have lost a number of properties. The Surfside up the top in Bellamont Road, some of the units there have been washed down, completely stripped off the building, washed down this gully here, which goes out to the sea now. And we'll have to see how we deal with that in the future. This is the second one. There's another one further north, which happened in the 11th of April, wash away. And there's a smaller one on South Beach Road, so Umdloti's been hit pretty hard. Not only have the roads gone, but all the infrastructure with it. So you've got your water pipes, your sewer lines, and your stormwater has all been washed away. So that's got to be replaced. So that's a major problem for the city.
People, have they been evacuated, Jeff? What's happening?
We managed to evacuate some people, most of the people, but if you look behind you, you'll see in that one building up there, there's people still on the balcony. So I don't know if he doesn't want to turn around. But they're busy trying to evacuate them. What we need to do is open this road so we can get vehicles in. That's the main thing, because everyone's having to climb over this sand, which is a bit like quicksand. When you mix mud and sea sand together, you get almost quicksand. You sink in. And it's not only here either, it's also in Tongaat itself. We've had to evacuate people in the center of Tongaat, especially in the Angels Park area, where we had to move a whole lot of people there last night into the Vishwaroop complex, and they're slowly moving back, and hopefully this rain has stopped now. We're just keeping our fingers crossed. But we've also had other problems on the M4 North by La Mercy. The road has been washed away there, so those people at La Mercy, Desanaga and Sea Tides are trapped in there because we can't get the road open. And I was talking to the road engineer now, and he says he's sending a TLB there to try and open it up. And I said, we might have to make a pathway through the bush to get the people in and out. At least we can get vehicles in and out to be able to look after the folk.
All right, so that was the interview you had earlier on, Manqoba, with the ward councillor in that area. But you also put together an insert, and I think let's take a look at it before we take our conversation further and hear what the residents of that evacuated area, that complex, residential complex, had to say. But before we do that, let's take a look at the insert that you put together earlier on.
Well, it is quite a dire situation here in Umdloti, and what we're seeing here behind me is one of the areas that has been badly affected by the recent rains here in this particular area. We're told that there was a block of flats just up there, but now that has been swept away and reduced to rubble. And of course, at this particular point, there's still no indication as to whether there were actually any occupants inside that block of flats, and if at all they are safe at this particular point. But I'm going to speak to somebody who witnessed that mudslide happening last night. Thank you for your time. What did you see? What happened?
Last night at about 7:30 in the evening, I received a call from that building there that there were some people that were trapped in that building that needed to get out. So myself and a few of my friends, we came here, we took a drive, and we came to come and help those people. While we were standing here, as you can see, the mudslide is coming down. While we were standing here, we see that whole block of flats on the top there. As you can see on the top, the entire block of flats, the whole flats came down. And then we went back, and we came with more guys, and then we used boats to take those people out of that flat there.
But what's the situation like now in terms of people that are still in their homes? Have people been evacuated? What are you hearing so far?
Okay, so far we have evacuated people from this building and another white family from the other end. But along that side, there are people that are still inside there that I guess they also need to get out.
So there are people that are still trapped?
Yeah, there are people on the other side of those flats on the other end.
In terms of these ones, the other complexes that we see here, have people been evacuated?
This complex here is empty, and going forward, I'm not sure.
Let's talk about the devastation. We've seen roads, being destroyed here. We've seen electrical, appliances. We've seen the likes of, sewage pipes that are broken. How bad is the damage according to what you've seen so far?
No, it's very, very bad, very, very bad. As we have seen at the beginning of Umdloti, if the rain continues, the entire road will be washed away. So things are very, very bad.
Okay, thank you for speaking to us. Well, there was just one of the residents who was here last night when that mudslide occurred in this area. I just want to show you what's happening here. We do understand that this whole section of Umdloti has been totally cut off. They are unable to travel on this road due to the mudslides that have occurred here. In fact, just a few moments ago, we witnessed what was an incredible search and rescue operation by the teams that were here. There was a couple that have been trying to walk to safety to cross to this side, but unfortunately they ended up being caught up in the middle of the sand here, not far from where we are, and so they had search and rescue teams trying their best to reach out to that couple. They managed to pull them to safety. So the situation is quite dire, and I can tell you that if you walk along this direction, this side here, there's quite a lot of roads that have been destroyed. There's also infrastructure that has been destroyed. As you can see there are water pipes on the roads. There are also electrical appliances that are here on the road, protruding on the road. But of course, at this particular point, the search and rescue teams are on standby. They are here looking out for any possible danger in this particular area. But most of the residents, as we understand, have been evacuated in this particular area.
So, Manqoba, those are extraordinary scenes that we see there. The last picture that is shown in the report we just played now ends with a rainbow, and it's raining a little bit as the sun comes out. But it really, the beauty of that rainbow in a way masks the devastation that is shown a bit earlier on in the report. Some of those residential complexes look like they are in a state, in a war zone in a way. And part of what has happened, as you reported, is that people have been evacuated from some of these. You had the opportunity to engage with people around that, and because that was part of the weakness, was it not, the last time around, about a month ago, in that even though the Weather Service had talked about a level 10 warning, hardly anyone had the protocols to know what exactly is expected of me. What do I do if I live in a low-lying area? But this time around, people are being evacuated.
Indeed, Chulas. In fact, we do understand that that happened quite swiftly last night. We spoke to some of the residents who, of course, were among those that were trapped in some of these apartments. And one of them was telling me, Chulas, that, he's so heartbroken because, it was just last week when, in fact, his family had moved back to their house. You remember that they had been affected by the previous floods that had occurred here in KwaZulu-Natal. So they were quite happy that they were back in their home, but only to again experience the same thing, to again be hit by a mudslide in their home. So he'd had to evacuate his 3 children, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, as well as an 8-year-old. So those are the difficulties that these residents here are facing, having to again deal with what is happening here in this particular area. But what we do understand is that many of them have now moved to areas of safety, some of them saying that they're going to be staying with relatives. But when we arrived here, we actually witnessed search and rescue teams rescuing some people that were trapped inside buildings, and we saw them going to some of the buildings. And this is because of the mudslide that had occurred, that had actually covered even the entrances of those apartments. So they had to rescue people from the 4th floor of that building, and that just gives you a sense of just how high and how deep the sand was at that particular complex. I spoke to some of those residents that were saved and evacuated safely, and this is what they had to say.
I'm very relieved. My sister and them are about to come out now, so yeah, I was so worried about them, and it's just thanks to all the rescue people and the news people and for capturing and these rescue people that have brought them out the building. It is absolutely amazing what you guys have done, and just to see my family, that they are okay, and my sister and everyone, is a true blessing.
It's just water coming down, and the whole building is full of mud and sludge, and it's just building up, and it's been a night of hell, really. It's been hard.
It's a man-made dilemma and a disaster, isn't it? Yes, it's a wake-up call for South Africa that the infrastructure here has been left since 1995. And the Bellamont Road has never had a drainage system. It's a disgrace. I don't want to say anything more because it's taking people's effort and huge amount of money now.